Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another episode of Battle Bites here in World of Tanks. And this is a very special episode because it is the return of Lunar Mode. And the Lunar Mode, for those of you who are veterans with the World of Tanks console version, we've seen this 2 times before, but for those of you who are new, or for those of you who are keeping an eye on things from the PlayStation side, this is a special mode that releases a unique tank, the Lunar Tank, which we're looking at here, and you get to play it in a special battle mode where it's just Lunar Tanks on a custom map that is only for this mode. And it's a lot of fun, and it's all in honor of the big release of Star Wars The Force Awakens this weekend, which personally I'm really excited to go see, but feel free to leave a comment below, let me know if you're excited as well, or if you couldn't be bothered. But either way, let's get into the review. So we'll start with a quick look at some of the statistics of the tank. You can see that the hit points is 580, the speed limit is 60 kilometers per hour, and then the acceleration, chassis, and turret rotation, rate of fire, they're all extremely high. The tank is very mobile, but it is countered a little bit by the map environment that you play on, which we'll get into in a little bit. In terms of the armor profile of the tank, the armor's pretty thin. It's listed as 25 millimeters pretty much all over the tank, but you do get bounces. The penetration of the gun is over 100. It's like 135, give or take, but there's quite a lot of times where you can bounce shots from the enemy. I have my best luck when I'm angling my front plate towards them. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. It seems to be a little bit of a trickery with the numbers, but that's my advice in terms of using the armor of the tank. Not something you should be focusing on. In this, it's all about using the burst, high potential damage of the gun to eliminate your enemies before they can do the same to you. So speaking of the gun, let's move on to that. So the gun on the Lunar Tank is a 10-shot autoloader, and each of those 10 shots results in 3 blaster bolts being fired from the gun. So it's actually a total of 30 shots that go out from each clip, and each of those 30 shots has a potential average damage of about 40. So you can see that the average clip potential is 1200 damage, which is just insane for this tank. You could kill 2 of the Lunar Tanks in a single clip. Now, it doesn't really work out that way because the spread of those 3 shots is pretty wild and varied, so it's hard to put that much concentrated damage onto your opponent, but that's the star of the show here. It's high burst damage to eliminate your enemy. And in terms of consumables, I went with a standard loadout here, slightly tweaked actually. Small repair kit, small first aid kit, and then a large repair kit. Fires aren't really a thing, so I went with a little extra passive protection to my modules. So a quick note on equipment: you cannot put equipment on the Lunar Tank. So don't worry about trying to kit out your tank with, camo nets or anything else, because you cannot put anything on this tank. And then in terms of ops, I gotta say it's a bit disappointing. I know I love the mode, it's a free mode, and I don't want to complain because it is a fun thing that we get to do. But if there was some advantage, some op that we could work towards while we were in the Lunar Tank, I would really appreciate that. I had expected that the Winter Warfare, just winning games, op would count, and I thought, oh, this is great, I'll be able to get through these matches quickly because the lunar matches are very quick, rack up some wins and work towards my Winter Warfare 3 operation, but they don't count. So in terms of ops, it'd be nice if they gave us a custom one that we can complete in the Lunar Tank in the future. That'd be something I would appreciate from WarGaming. So I think it's time for some gameplay. I've got 2 replays coming up for you. The first one is my best battle that I've had in the Lunar Tank in this iteration of the mode, and then second, I've got one that showcases just some tactics and thoughts to keep in mind for your battles when you're in the Lunar Tank. So here we go with the first replay. So here we are on Moon River, this custom map made just for the Lunar Mode game type, and you can see the battles are 7v7, all Lunar Tanks on each side, and we get this beautiful environment to play in. We're on the moon in deep space. You can see the Earth off to one side there. But in addition to the graphics, there's also a unique gameplay effect of very low gravity. So whenever you go off a ridge, you can see the guy in front of me there. If you go off a ridge with any kind of speed, your tank will float because of the low gravity. So you can use that to great effect. You can jump over chasms, or you can come over a ridge that an enemy is hiding behind and get some great air and kind of surprise them from the angle of your attack. But one thing you have to be careful about is if you go over at full speed, your tank can get kind of sideways in the air or at some awkward angles, and when you land, you'll lose all the speed that you had built up, and you'll kind of be a sitting duck if anyone has shots at you. So what I found is if you let off the gas just before you crest the ridge, seems to take some of the wildness out of the angles at which your tank can get while you're in midair. So right now we're in a great little position here. We're hull down, and our gun is just poking over the ridge at some enemy tanks, and we go into sniper mode here. And the auto aim is my recommendation for 90% of the fighting that you're going to do. If the enemy team or enemy tank that you're shooting at or your tank is moving, auto aim is really tough in this mode, or I'm sorry, manual aiming is really tough in this mode, and the auto aim is pretty reliable. The laser bolts, because you get 3 of them, and because they travel so quickly, the auto aim does a good job of getting at least some of your targets home to where you're trying to get them. So we're doing some nice work on the ridge here, putting in some shots while we have the opportunity. We take a couple hits in return, but nothing too serious. And now we're going to turn to face the danger on our flank. We are down 1 tank, and we're going to try and turn the scores around here. So it's 2-3, and we crest the ridge here, and this is a great opportunity. Look at the burst. Every one of those shots goes in, everyone does damage, and that guy was removed very, very quickly from the game. Now again here, that's not a great shot. I'm mostly exposed on the ridge, and I just had a sliver of his turret to shoot at. So I'm going to pull back and re-engage. And you can see the full reload of the clip here is not long. It's 2.5 or 3 seconds, give or take. And so whenever you have an opportunity, if you don't have a full clip and you have just a small break, you're going behind something, you're going in a valley where you're not going to be shooting at the enemy, go for that reload, because you want to have the full clip when you actually start engaging with an enemy tank. The in-between clip shots is very, very fast. Pretty much when that 3rd bullet from the clip from the spray goes out, your next shot is ready with very, very little delay. So here, just a little tactical thing. If I go over this ridge, there's 2 tanks here. They can burn me down really, really quickly. But because I have an ally go over first, or go over with me, now it's 2-on-2. We were able to concentrate fire on the first tank, and then that second guy was at full health, and we burned him down very, very quickly. So I get into cover here while my clip reloads, and now I'm engaging long range with this enemy tank. We've got 3 kills. We're having a nice result, and 1 more goes in, and he's eliminated. Now I'm on very low health. There's 1 guy left. I know he's coming for me. Not quite able to pull back to block his shots, so he does take me out of the game, but he very quickly pays for it as my allies clean him up, and we secure a victory. So as you can see, no credits, no XP get earned in this mode. It is strictly for fun. But that was a pretty nice result. We'll take a quick look at the detailed stats. You can see that we had 4 of the 7 kills, and my ally, ANS2006, also had a great result. We did 1,559 damage, and he did 1,342. And between the 2 of us, my 4 kills and ANS's 3, we completed the destruction of the enemy team with their 7 tanks. So that was my best battle. I'm going to show you one more if you want to stick around for it. It just kind of shows some of the tactics that come into play when the enemy team does certain things, and we'll roll into that right now. So here we are in our second battle, and as things get started here, you can see that our allies are kind of splitting up a little bit. We've got some going along the south and some going up to the north from our initial spawn point. I should say we're working along the south border of the map in a west direction here. So we're kind of split 4 and 3, and if the enemy team is grouped up, that can be dangerous because they can completely eliminate one of your flanks while the other half of your team is unable to provide supporting fire. So here we are on a ridge. We can see at least 4 of the enemy tanks are over here, and we're just going to try and put some fire in. Now I see 5. Okay, so this is looking bad. One of our tanks gets eliminated quickly. We do get 1 in exchange, but we are severely outnumbered, and I start to take a lot of hits, and I see a lot of fire coming my direction. So I decide to pull back and play a little bit of a delaying action, because all the enemy tanks are here. If I get eliminated, we get nothing out of that. I would get eliminated pretty much for free, and the enemy would be up 1 more tank. So I get down into the valley, give my allies time to come over this direction and help us out, and thankfully now my allies eliminated the straggler that went the other direction, and now it's 2-2, and it's a fair fight. And I got a nice move on this guy here. As he dropped into the valley, I'm able to put a bunch of shots into him. I only take a couple in return and remove him from the game. And then, again, ammo is cheap. You have plenty of it. If you have long-range opportunity, throw that auto-aim on and let the shots fly, because you know, nothing bad can happen, only you can get lucky and the shots can go in, so why not? And all of a sudden, just like that, this battle's turned in our favor. It's now 5-2. What looked like trouble at the beginning has turned into a pretty secure result. So once again, we're poking over here, trying to put some fire in, increase our damage total. This guy goes a little airborne. We get a couple of shots into his rear, and our allies quickly eliminate the last 2 remaining enemy tanks. So just something to keep in mind, if you are outflanked by the enemy, you can get burned down very, very quickly. So don't be afraid to pull back, to delay, to give your allies a chance to come and assist you, and then you might have multiple angles of fire on the enemy tanks, and you'll be able to turn a bad situation into a win. So that was just a nice little game, almost 1,000 damage, and just 1 kill, securing the victory in the Lunar tank. So there it is, Lunar Mode in anticipation of Star Wars The Force Awakens this weekend. A mode completely for fun. My only suggestion in the future would be, again, if you could give us some operation, either let the ops tie into this one, or give us a special operation that we can feel like we're making some progress while we're playing the tank, in addition to just having some fun while we fly around and fling laser bolts at each other on the surface of the moon. But either way, hope you guys enjoy it this weekend. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it useful, if it whet your appetite for when you get home or when you get around this weekend to put some time in to the Lunar Mode, please feel free to hit that like button and subscribe for future content. I'll see you next time. Thanks.